In the previous video, I had expressed that I would use the quadratic funda to solve a special second order differential equation. Now in this, the equation I was mentioning is the case of damped SHM. Right? So before I delve deeper into this, there are some prerequisites that you need to have. So viewers watching this must be well versed with Newton's laws of motion, simple harmonic motion. What is the viewer should know what simple harmonic motion is. Okay, and when, as far as maths is concerned, he or she must know basic calculus, right? Differentiation and integration. Also functions and graphs. They should be familiar with functions and graphs and how to deal with them. Also, surprisingly, you have to know a bit of complex numbers here. Yeah. So these are the prerequisites that you need to have. You just need to know basic level of each of these. Okay? Right. So, if you're well versed with all of these, then you may continue watching. Okay. Alright. So where was I? Yeah. The damped SHM. Okay. So the first thing is to figure out what the differential equation is. Right? So fine. Basically it's just a force equation. So there are a few factors involved here. Okay. Let's assume the spring is extended by x. Right? Its velocity is v in this direction. The block's velocity. Block's mass is m. And its acceleration is a in this direction. Okay. Now damped simple harmonic motion means there is also the spring force is there, right? But a damping force is also involved. Now a damping force is that kind of force which tries to oppose your motion. So it acts so as to seize your motion. That is, it acts opposite to the direction of velocity of the block. And in this case, the damping force is directly proportional to the velocity. Okay? So, if we had to express the damping force Fd, which I have written here, that would be some constant b into v. And it acts opposite to the velocity of the block. And the spring force, since the spring is extended, it will act opposite to x and hence here opposite to v. Okay? So here's the diagram, and these are the forces in the x direction, these two, right? So by applying Newton's second law, we'll get the net force, which is minus bv minus kx, minus because the direction of these forces is opposite to the acceleration. So that's why I've done that. This is equal to m into a. Okay. So, and we know that a is dv by dt or d2x by dt square in this case, and v is dx by dt. So if we combine those and write, we'll get m into d2x by dt square plus b into dx by dt plus kx equals 0. Right? Now here's where the quadratic part comes in. So don't look at this as a differential equation. You see something of order 2 here, something of order 1 here, right? A derivative of order 1 here, and a term of order 0 here. Let's try to compare this with a quadratic equation. So, well, it seems to me that if I had to make a quadratic equation that just looks similar to this, it would be something like, it would be something like mt square plus bt plus k equals 0. Now, why have I done this? Okay, why have I done this? So let's see. What I'll do is I'll just divide this whole equation by m. Okay. So I'll get plus k by m into x equals 0. Now notice in this quadratic equation, let this equation's roots be alpha and beta. So here alpha plus beta will be minus b by m and alpha beta will be k by m. Now what I'm doing here is very similar, right? In fact almost the same as what I did in the last method for deriving the Fibonacci numbers, right? So if you want, you can take a look at that video, right? Link in the description. Okay. So why have I done this? Let me just replace b by m by minus alpha plus beta and k by m by alpha beta. Let's just see what happens. What I'll get is d2x by dt square minus alpha plus beta into dx by dt. You know, can I write? I'll write d2x by dt square as x double dot at the same time, right? And dx by dt as x dot. Okay. Plus alpha beta x equals 0. The advantage of this is I can again in essence factorize something again. So I can write the following, write this as the following: x double dot minus alpha x dot minus beta x dot plus alpha beta x equals 0. Okay. So this becomes x double dot minus alpha x dot equals beta. I'm taking this to the other side, beta into x dot minus alpha x. Now if you notice carefully, this thing right here, let's call this y. Okay, let's call this y. If this is y, this will be y dot. This will be y dot. Right? This will be y dot. Okay? So this is an important step. This is really important here. Now this was the key step in solving this. You know, when we were in class and we were being taught this, we were told that solving this equation is out of the syllabus, so you just take it as it is. पर भाई मैंने तो नहीं माना, मैंने सोचा मैं तो किसी तरह से करूँगा, और बहुत देर बाद फाइनली एक मेथड मिल गया. Can be bit overwhelming, so but still stay with me. यहाँ तक समझे कि मैंने क्वाड्रेटिक इक्वेशन बनाया mt स्क्वायर प्लस bt प्लस के, उसके रूट्स अल्फा बीटा को लिए, उसको इनमें ऐसे फिट कर दिया. अभी इसका फ़ायदा क्या है वो तो शायद तुम समझ गए होगे. I can erase this right now. I don't need it. Okay. इसकी वजह से क्या हुआ, तो in essence we got y dot equals beta y और dy by dt equals beta into y. Now this is a differential equation you can easily solve. Okay, so I won't solve it, I'll just write its solution. You'll get something like y equals c e to the power beta t. Okay, where c is some kind of constant, constant. Okay, random constant. Okay, so if you solve this, this is what you get. Okay, so but y was originally dx by dt minus alpha x. So let's write it like that: dx by dt minus alpha x equals c e to the power beta t. Okay, now how do we solve this differential equation? Okay, this is actually a standard form, but for those who haven't studied differential equations completely, well, it's not so complicated, I'll just tell you. Right, so this is over. So what we'll do is, I'll I'll just multiply the LHS and RHS by e to the power minus alpha t. Okay, I'll do that. What that gives me is e to the power alpha t into dx by dt plus, I'm clubbing minus alpha and e to the power alpha t, minus alpha t, sorry, together, plus minus alpha e to the power minus alpha t into x equals c e to the power beta minus alpha t. This is what we get. Okay, so what is the use of this? If you notice, this is actually the product rule expansion of d of x e to the power minus alpha t by dt. You can check dx by dt into e to the power minus alpha t plus x into d of e to the power minus alpha t, which is nothing but this. So we can write this as this. This is equal to c e to the power beta minus alpha into t dt. Not dt. Yeah. So I can multiply both sides by dt. You know what? Now this equation has become integrable. So I'll just integrate it. Okay. Let's not worry about limits right now. I'll just add an arbitrary constant. So if you integrate this, you'll get c e to the power beta minus alpha t, plus d, some other arbitrary constant, by beta minus alpha. This is what you'll get. You know what? Since beta minus alpha is also some constant, beta and alpha, if you remember, are roots of the equation mt square plus bt plus k equals 0. So m, b and k are constants, which means the roots alpha and beta will also be constants. So c by beta minus alpha is also constant and d by beta minus alpha is also constant. So I'll write them as p and q. That's not an issue. So what I'll get is, okay. I'll get x is equal to p e to the power alpha t plus q e to the power beta t, where p and q are some random constants. This is just if I multiply e to the power alpha t on both sides here and name the constants appropriately as p and q, I'll get this. Okay. So from this I'll get dx by dt, or velocity of the block, as p alpha e to the power alpha t plus q beta e to the power beta t. Okay. Alright. So this is what I get. Now, we don't know the value of p and q. So how do we decide that? We need to decide that from the initial conditions of the damped SHM. So suppose at time t equals 0, okay, the string is unstretched, right? X is 0, but this mass is given a velocity v0. Okay, so spring force will be 0, but there will be a damping force, right? But the important point is that velocity will be v0, the magnitude, and x will be 0. So if we plug in t equals 0, we'll get x equals p plus q, right? Which is 0 at t equals 0. X equals p plus q equals 0, because we're considering t equals 0. And at t equals 0, both of these terms will become 1. So q is equal to minus p. So let me just write x as p into e to the power alpha t minus e to the power beta t. This would be better. Also, if you put t equals 0 in the velocity equation, you'll get v0 equals p into alpha minus beta, because q is minus p and e to the power alpha t and e to the power beta t will be 1, right? So this is what we get. Alright. v0 depends on us. The amount of impulse we give to the block at time t equals 0 decides what V0 will be. And alpha and beta we already know, they're the roots of mt square plus bt plus k equals 0. Now here actually the roots, the value of the roots, values of the roots matter. So let's plug that in as well. Alpha, t can take values minus b plus minus root of b square minus 4mk by 2m. Okay. So let's take minus b plus root b square minus 4mk by 2m as alpha and the other root as beta. Okay. So what will the difference of the roots be? The difference of the roots alpha minus beta here will be V0 is equal to P into, you can check, root b square minus 4mk by m. This will be the difference between the roots. Okay. So what do we get from this? P is equal to m V0 by root b square minus 4mk. P equals m V0 by root b square minus 4mk, am I right? Yeah. Okay. Wow. So what do we get from this? Alright. We wanted to find x, right? The differential equation, it was an x. So we were trying to find x. I think we've got x now. Okay. X is m V0 by root b square minus 4mk. Okay. Into, q was minus p, right? So into e to the power alpha t minus e to the power beta t. Now you have to see that e to the power alpha t, right? Okay. So that is e to the power minus b plus root b square minus 4mk by 2m, e to the power this into t. Okay, this is alpha minus e to the power minus b minus root b square minus 4mk by 2m into t. Right. So this is quite dirty, but let's try to simplify it a little. Wait, let's call okay, let's take minus e to the power minus bt by 2m common. What we'll get is x equals now I'm just doing this here. I'm multiplying here, multiplying and dividing by 2. Okay, so I'll just do that. 2m by root b square minus 4mk into v0 by 2. I'm just writing it like that. We've taken e to the power minus bt by 2m common, so that comes out. Okay. What I wanted to do was write root b square minus 4mk by 2m. Okay, fine. Yeah, we need to discuss that first. Okay. Alright. So, we see that alpha and beta can take these values. Now, this question should naturally arise. What happens if this value, the discriminant is less than 0, and what happens when it's greater than 0? Okay. When it's greater than 0, you'll get something like this into e to the power kt, no not k, e to the power ct minus e to the power minus ct. Okay, you'll get something like that, where c is, you get it right, root b square minus 4mk by 2m. You'll get something like this. C will be real because the discriminant is greater than or equal to 0. Okay, now things get a bit tougher here. What should I erase? I can erase this here. Okay. Now, so we see that, yeah, this expression is real. Alright. So you can verify this, but the kind of graph that we get from here it'll be something like, if I'm not wrong, it'll be something like this. If this is t and this is x, we might get something like this. Right. So the graph will look something like this if the discriminant is greater than or equal to 0. So what is the physical explanation of this? Well, we can say that since the discriminant is greater than 0, b square is greater than 4km. So in essence, the effect of damping, or the damping force, is more significant than the spring force, right? So the damping force becomes more significant, because of which the block, it will start out like this, right? But on its way back, because the damping force is more significant, it will slowly come to a halt as time tends towards infinity. At t equals infinity, it will reach the mean position and stop. But till then, its velocity will decrease, as you can see, exponentially, right? Its velocity will decrease, and it will be ever so close to the mean position for a very long time, because the damping force and the spring force become negligibly different at that time. So it will be like this. This is the mean position. Right? At a time at t equals infinity, you stop here. So that's the case. Okay. But what if the discriminant is less than 0? So this will be imaginary. Now, wait a minute. I know what you're thinking here, that this is not an SHM. Where does the SHM come from? Why do we even call it an SHM? This is in no way an oscillatory motion, right? So that is what I'm coming to. When the discriminant is less than 0, what do you think happens? Because most of the time, what we do is, if any quantity in physics is coming out to be imaginary, mostly we say that situation is impossible, right? Well, this is a clear contradiction of that case. In fact, it is only when the discriminant is less than 0 that the motion can be an SHM. Otherwise it cannot be an SHM, otherwise it will be like this. So it is essential for an SHM that this quantity be imaginary. How? I'll show you. What can I erase? I can erase this. And this is also not needed anymore. Right. So I only need this, where C is root b square minus 4mk by 2m. You know, instead of C, I'll write it in better terms. Okay, we know that this is negative, right? So let me do this here. I'll write it as root of minus 4mk minus b square by 2m, which becomes I root of 4mk minus b square by 4m square, right? So this is I into root of k by m minus b square by 4m square. Now observe that this quantity has the dimension of angular frequency. So I'll call it omega. Okay, I'll call that term omega. So this term C, I'll call it I omega. Okay. How will this be convenient for me? Let me put this into x, right? Let me put this into x. Okay. What will I get? You see that this is 1 by I omega. Right? Because this is what I took as, this is C, and this is what I took as I omega. So this is 1 by I omega, this is V0 by 2. Right? So I'll get V0 by 2I omega into e to the power minus bt by 2m into e e to the power I omega t minus e to the power minus I omega t. Okay. Now what I'll do is, I'll bring the 2i here. Now this is the magic here. This is the real magic. What is this? What does this look like to you? This, if you know a bit of complex numbers, you'll get to know that this is sine omega t. You can check. You can apply De Moivre's theorem. You can look that up. It basically says e to the power I omega t is cos omega t plus I sine omega t. You can use that to say that this quantity right here, that is sine omega t. So there might be imaginary terms there, but overall, the expression for x still comes out to be real. It's not imaginary. So we cannot cross that case out. Now here is where you see the oscillatory aspect of the motion, which means this is where the damped SHM is actually taking place. The case where discriminant was greater than 0, that was not SHM. That was just damping. With this, you can actually see the oscillatory motion. Now let me draw the graph of this. You know what? I can write x, v0 by omega is a0. A0 is amplitude. Initial possible amplitude you can say. X is a0 e to the power minus bt by 2m. Okay? Into sine omega t, where omega is root of 4mk minus b square by 2m. Okay, let me graph this above. You got this right? This is x, this is t. So I'm drawing a0 e to the power minus bt by 2m here. That is not the graph of x versus t. It's just a sketching technique. It's just a way so that I can sketch the graph. Okay. The important part is what I draw in blue here. The graph here, in this case, it will go something like this. So you see that the motion is still oscillatory, but its amplitude keeps decreasing with time. You can consider this as the amplitude. Okay. So this was a marvelous result that was brought about. We finally solved the differential equation. This is quite lengthy, right? But the point is, we found a creative way to do it. And that's what maths is about. Maths is all about being creative. But yet, no one really talks about that. In the education system, maths is provided in a really limited kind of way. The way you catch an insight and then you connect the dots, like, oh, Fibonacci and quadratic and differential equations. The way you connect those dots and then you express that. That's exactly the way an artist gets an insight from maybe a great scenery or something and then expresses that in his paintings. That's how maths is. It's creative. Maths and science both. So imagine you using this creativity today in maths, and you may use this kind of creativity connecting the dots tomorrow in business. Who knows? This kind of creativity never goes waste. So stay creative. That's my message. Thank you. Hope you learned a lot.